Okay, what I want to start with is have you draw your 30-60 right triangles and 45-45. I personally use my triangles versus the circle itself. And on any quiz, besides the unit circle quiz, well, I'll give you, if you would like, I have some students who like the a blank unit circle, and they will fill it out, and then they take the regular quiz and test. And that is absolutely fine if that's how you like it. All right, we have this, and we have that tangent theta was sine theta over cosine theta, and that on the circle itself, every ordered pair is cosine theta, comma, sine theta. We need this, okay? Again, that's cosine theta, comma, sine theta. So let's look at example 1, and I apologize that it did not give you nearly enough room here. So just know that you're going to want to try to write as small as you can. Oh, something else. It says evaluate the 6 trigonometric functions. Well, we've only talked about sine, cosine, and tangent. Do you remember if we talk about SOHCAHTOA, SOHCAHTOA is telling me about sine, cosine, and tangent. So if sine of some angle is opposite over hypotenuse, do you remember from last year, we have cosecant theta. Cosecant theta is the reciprocal of sine. So cosecant is abbreviated CSC theta, and it's hypotenuse over opposite. Cosine theta is the adjacent over hypotenuse, and so its reciprocal is secant theta, and it's hypotenuse over adjacent. And then we have TOA, tangent, opposite over adjacent, and so cotangent theta is adjacent over opposite. All right, now we're armed and ready to go. So in example 1, if we want to evaluate the 6 trig functions, you can either use the unit circle you just filled out, or you can use your triangles, your option. So let's look at the sine of pi over 3. So you either look at your circle and then ask yourself, okay, is this the x value or the y value? It's the y value because every ordered pair goes cosine, comma, sine. And you might want to remember because c comes before s, so the cosine comes first. Or if I go to pi over 3, which is 60 degrees, it's radical 3 over 2. Now cosecant is the reciprocal, so it's 2 over radical 3. And if I rationalize that, it's 2 radical 3 over 3. All right, cosine, pi over 3. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. So its reciprocal would just be 2. Now in this case, I think the triangle would be easier than doing my unit circle, because on the unit circle, you only see sine and cosine. You'd have to put sine over cosine, the ordered pairs, to do it that way. If I have tangent of 60, that's radical 3 over 1. And then cotangent would be the reciprocal. And if I rationalize that, it's radical 3 over 3. Okay, is this coming back to you from last year? Okay, good. So now, 3 pi over 4. Here's where all students take calculus comes into play. Where is 3 pi over 4 located? What quadrant? Second. It's in the second quadrant. So I know that the sign is positive there, and if you look at your unit circle, it also has a reference angle. It's 45 degrees away. So it's going to be the same thing as sine 45, but in the second quadrant. So it's positive radical 2 over 2. Now I want to take a moment and go nice and slowly here, that in order to get radical 2 over 2, okay, if I come back to my little triangle, sine of 45 is 1 divided by radical 2. That's what created radical 2 over 2. So if you have good number sense, and you can recognize that radical 2 over 2 was 1 over radical 2, that had to have been just radical, then the reciprocal would be radical 2. You can still get it by flipping, but then you're rationalizing and canceling and all that. So for example, if you see radical 3 over 3, that meant it was 1 over radical 3, right? Okay, so make that connection, make your life a little bit easier. All right, cosine 3 pi over 4. I'm in the second quadrant, so it's negative, but the reference angle is 45 degrees, or pi over 4. And then secant would be negative radical 2. All right, tangent. Tangent is negative in the second quadrant, but if I do tangent of 45, it's 1 over 1. And then cotangent, if you take the reciprocal, it's the same. Okay? All right, try letter C on your own. I'm going to give you a head start, and then I'll fill it out in a moment. Either use your triangles or your unit circle. Your choice. Okay, go ahead when you're done, check with the board. I got the sine of pi over 6 was 1/2. Cosecant pi over 6 would be the reciprocal, which is 2. Cosine pi over 6 is radical 3 over 2. Unfortunately, that one you have to rationalize secant. Pi over 6 is 2 radical 3 over 3. Tangent pi over 6 is radical 3 over 3, but when I looked, it's really 1 over radical 3. So I can do my forward mental thinking here that, okay, cotangent pi over 6 will be radical 3. All right, any questions yet on A, B, or C? Making sense? Okay, now with letter D, wait a minute. T equals 0. That's the angle, okay? That's the angle of rotation. I can't use the triangles here. So how on earth am I going to figure this out? Okay, use your unit circle. Exactly. So here's the deal. Let me draw a little circle. And if this is 0, remember the points are going cosine comma sine. So the sine of 0 is 0. Do you see that? The sine of 0 is 0. So then cosecant 0 would be the reciprocal, which is undefined. All right, then we have cosine of 0. Okay, that's 1. So the secant of 0 is 1. Now here's where you have to use this fact that the tangent of theta is equal to sine theta over cosine theta. So this is 0 divided by 1, which is just 0. Cotangent theta is the reciprocal, and so that's undefined. Make sure on your homework and on the quiz and on the test, you do not leave 0 divided by 1. That's going to tell me you don't understand what's going on. That you have to make sure you say that's 0. And with the next one, 1 divided by 0, don't leave that. You need to say it's undefined. And what's really neat is we're going to make a connection to the graphs. Last year we did sine, cosine, and tangent, right? We didn't graph secant, cosecant, and cotangent. And so what's going to end up happening is we're going to see vertical asymptotes at cosecant and at cotangent at x0. Okay? Oh, you're really neat. Culmination.